Allah said, the person who does not believe in the hereafter, who does not believe specifically in a recompense, you'll find this is the person who is what? Harsh, who is violent towards a yatim. And the word da' is to push violently, to harm him without a need. So why? Why would you do such a thing? Some might say, no, Sheikh, we see people, they don't believe in the hereafter, they're atheists, but they're good. See, this is what I'm trying to say. Don't be fooled by those people who do not believe in the hereafter and see great donations, contributions here and there, this and that. So Allah is telling us here, it's like a warning. Beware of the person who does not believe in the hereafter, because these are his actions, and he's telling you, if you're doing these things, then you're mimicking or you're being exactly like the person who does not believe in the hereafter.
إن العلماء لم يورثوا درهما ولا دينارا وإنما ورثوا العلم.
اقرأ سورة الماعون.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts this chapter by saying, أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين. It's like a question. Yani, look at this. Allah is going to tell you something, a fact. He wants you to be aware of this fact. Saying, أرأيت الذي يكذب, starting with a question. So these small things you have to take into consideration. Starting with a question. أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين. Of course, you have seen a person who disbelieves. You have seen those who do not believe in the recompense, the hereafter. So here, أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين. الدين here is al-jaza, recompense, the hereafter. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, look at the person who does not believe in recompense, who does not believe in the akhirah. What about him? I will tell you about him. You find someone who does not believe in a recompense, in a hereafter, then you will find something in him. What is it? Allah explains. فَذَلِكَ, that is the person. And then he mentions things about this person. The first thing he says, الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. Now, let's say that you don't know Arabic. Certain words in the Arabic language, like this word, only hearing the word, you feel that there's something. You feel that you can understand something by just the pronunciation of this word. يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ. Now, the word يَدُعُّ, do you feel that it is something, you want this thing or is something that is bad? So if you hear someone doing da' for someone else, do you feel that this is something good or something bad? It feels bad. It feels something harsh. Huh? Yeah, something, I don't want this. It feels. I don't know what's the meaning, but yeah, I don't want da'. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أرأيت, the one who does يدع, who? Yateem. Now, not the miskin, not, because it could be a miskin, but it could be strong. But a yateem, if the word yateem is said, used, what does this mean? When you hear the word yateem, because many people have a misunderstanding regarding yateem. Find someone 50 years old, like, oh, this person is yateem. Ya akhi, kif yateem is 50? How is he yateem, ya shaykh? Two things. Before puberty, he's young. He did not reach puberty. And at the same time, he lost. If he lost his mother, he's not yateem, by the way. A person who lost his father still did not reach puberty. He's called yateem. So if he doesn't have a father, what does it mean? He doesn't have what? Yes, he doesn't have anyone to protect him. That's why the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, And you find many of the verses taking care of the yatim. Huh? أنا وكافل اليتيم كهاتين. He pointed his two fingers. And he said, even wiping the head of a yatim, and you get a reward for this. In the smallest thing that you bring happiness to a yatim. Why? Because a yatim is someone who's broken. He's raised, he doesn't have a father. Maybe he has a mother, maybe he doesn't. He doesn't have anyone to protect him. Who will protect him? On what basis? He doesn't have a father. As in, no one is there to protect him. Even if he has money, it doesn't matter. So instead of being good and kind towards him, you find the fierce, a monster. A person who's not good towards an orphan, why? You have no reason. So this person, Allah subhanahu, the person who does not believe in the hereafter, specifically in a recompense, you'll find this is the person who is harsh, who is violent towards a yatim. And the word da' is to push violently. Without a need. To harm him without a need. يدع اليتيم. It sounds bad. يدع اليتيم. So why would he do such a thing? Why would he do such a bad thing? This person doesn't care. Why? أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين. He doesn't believe in a recompense. Why should I be good? Who will, what's it called? If it wasn't a yatim, by the way, it could have been if he was good towards him, maybe he'll get something from his father. Or if the father was there, he'll protect him. And if he does this, he'll be punished. But there is no one to take care of. He's a yatim. So why do I care? أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدع اليتيم. This is one of his actions. Is this so? No. ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. Now, ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. He himself, miskin is a poor person. He himself, he doesn't care. He doesn't take care of the poor. But Allah did not say this. Allah did not say that this person does not take care of the poor, because taking care of the poor is something good. No. He does not. He discourages. He doesn't encourage people to take care of the poor. So him definitely is the first person who doesn't care about the poor. He doesn't care about the poor, and he doesn't tell the people do something good for them. Leave them. ولا يحض على طعام المسكين. So these things, اليتيم, دع اليتيم, الحض على طعام المسكين, this is related to others. طيب, now pay attention. There's a shift, like a shift. So here mentioning the yatim, دع اليتيم, then mentioning doesn't encourage people to help the poor. Suddenly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying فويل للمصلين. فويل للمصلين. And here I want to ask your opinion. فويل للمصلين, of course, الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون. So what does the word ساهون mean? We'll see the opinions now. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying wailing, a threat to al-musalli. Al-musalli ism fa'il min salah, a person who does salah, musalli, masdar mimi, musalli. فويل, a threat to al-musalli, للمصلين, فويل للمصلين. طيب, الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون. So regarding their prayer, they are sahun. What does sahun mean? Many things together. So sahun, some of the scholars said sahun, people who do not pray on time. They pray, but they don't pray on time. For example, Asr ends with Maghrib, for example. They pray after Maghrib. They pray Asr after Maghrib. They pray. It's not that they don't pray. They pray, but they pray after the time expires. This is one opinion of the Salaf. When I say Salaf, I'm not talking about any Salaf. I'm talking about Sahaba, Tabi'in, Atba' Tabi'in. This generation, these generations. So if I mention opinion of Salaf, I'm talking about these. Usually it's Sa'id ibn Jubair, ibn Abbas, Ikrimah ibn Abbas and his students, or Qatada, which is a student of Ibn Mas'ud. So these generations, huh? Or Mujahid, same, Tilmid Ibn Abbas. Now, as-Sahoon, some of them we mentioned, praise outside the time. And he prays but outside that. Some scholars said, no. Sahoon, they don't pray. They said they don't pray. Some say Sahoon, it's not related to the prayer. It's related to being preoccupied with something else. Yani, look at the word. He said, an salatihim. An, it's like from their prayer, away from their prayer. Sahoon. It's like they're preoccupied with something else. These are three opinions, all from the Salaf. So those who leave prayer, those who pray outside the time. Third opinion, those who are Sahoon, as in those who are preoccupied with something else. Now we're going to use some principles in Usul Tafsir. Now, opinions of Salaf regarding Tafsir, when we say Salaf, as I mentioned, it's these three generations. I'm not talking all Salaf. Because these are the people who their opinion has value. And in Tafsir specifically. No one comes after them. Anyone who comes with a new understanding of a word that goes against the agreement of the Salaf, it's rejected, directly rejected. We don't even discuss it anymore. Look, this is a new meaning for a word, directly rejected. We don't even discuss it. Khalas. End of story. Tadabbur, this is something else. But a meaning of the verse, no, directly rejected. So they said, an salatihim. So these three opinions. Now, when we have opinions of Salaf, these opinions could mean they could this dispute, it's a difference of opinion. Now, this difference of opinion, is it conflictive or non-conflictive? Yani, if we choose one opinion, we must choose one. They cannot all be right at the same time. This is what it means to be conflictive or non-conflictive. So let's go back to these things. Praying on time, not praying on time, leaving prayer, and the third thing, being preoccupied. Can you combine these meanings together? Or are they conflictive? Combine? Okay, who can combine? Mafi?
You left the prayer if you didn't pray it on time because you were preoccupied with something.
Okay, you can say, sometimes if they pray, they don't pray on time. And sometimes they don't even pray at all. And this is because they are attached to something else. Oh yeah, now here you combined all these things together. Now, Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned something, and I'll keep repeating this principle. He said, وَمَجْمُوعُ أَقْوَالِهِمْ, he always said, وَمَجْمُوعُ أَقْوَالِهِمْ أَدَلُّ عَلَى الْمَعْنَى مِنَ الْقَوْلِ وَالْقَوْلَيْنِ. This statement, it said, the combination of their opinions, when you see a verse and then you see all the Salaf, their statements, when you try to take into account all of their statements, you will have a more detailed, a clearer picture compared to taking one opinion. Yani if we took one opinion, for example, those who pray outside the time. If we say those who prayed outside the time, you will understand. Yes, Sahoon, those who prayed outside the time. So if you took, for example, one opinion saying that those who pray outside the time, isn't this an understanding of the verse? Yes, it's an understanding of the verse. But when we added to it that no, sometimes they pray. When they pray outside the time, and sometimes they don't even pray. Not only this, the reason behind this is that they're preoccupied with something else. When I say they're preoccupied with something else, I'm not talking about a person searching for water and the time. And no, preoccupied, something that, for example, he preoccupied with, chasing dunya or, doing something, chasing for the sake of the dunya. You're preoccupied with dunya, giving precedence, the main point, giving precedence to the dunya that led him to leave his prayer, or subhanallah, praying it after the time expires. So here, when you understood all of this, don't you think you have a complete picture of the verse compared to just one of these things? Yeah, that is what is special with Tafseer Al-Tabari. Jazallah khair. The Sheikh Mohamed Eid Almuhairi, he will never get to hear this. Subhanallah, had no knowledge regarding Tabari and the importance of Tabari until I met Sheikh Mohamed Eid Almuhairi. Sat with me. We had, subhanallah, we were in the same hotel. We spent a lot of time, alhamdulillah, with him. We practiced a certain chapter of Surah from Tafseer Al-Tabari, and Jazallah khair, this is the end result. Tafseer al-Tabari, the scholar al-Tabari, if you look at his statements at the end, when he explains it, it will be the sum of all the statements of the Salaf that he mentioned. And he mentioned this, for example, this verse, what did Tabari say? He said, وَأَوْلَى الْأَقْوَالِ فِي ذَلِكَ عِنْدِي بِالصَّوَابِ قَوْلِهِ سَاهُونَ أي لاهون يتغافلون عنها, they're preoccupied, يتغافلون عنها وفي اللهو عنها والتشاغل بغيرها. تشاغل بغيرها, preoccupied with something else. تضييعها أحيانا, sometimes they leave it, تضييعها أحيانا, وتضييع وقتها أخرى. Sometimes they don't leave the prayer, but they leave its time. So sometimes praying it outside the time, sometimes not praying it because they're preoccupied with dunya. And then he said, he said, وإذا كان ذلك كذلك صح بذلك قول من قال عني بذلك ترك وقتها وقول. So the right opinion, he said, which is the right opinion? The right opinion is the opinion of those who said they were preoccupied with something else, and the opinion of those who said they prayed outside. And so he's saying that all of these opinions are right, and then he gave you a statement that includes all of these opinions. And he does this. He doesn't say, this is the thing. Tabari, he doesn't say that this is the end result. He says, he does it without saying, you have to understand this. And then I said, this is ridiculous. When Sheikh Mohamed Eid Almuhairi, I said, it can't be. I never realized this. And they said, okay, try. And then we took a chapter with a group of people, and then he said, look, now after studying all the statements, and then he said, look at the finest, what Tabari will say at the end. And then in reality, when you look, the statement that Tabari said included all these different small meanings here and there. He included them in one. And if you just look, if you go and say, wallah, there is an abridged Tabari, for example, and you look at the meaning, you won't be aware that this is a collection of statements of many scholars that the Tabari has made. Okay, so usually many of the times this is the way of a Tabari. Now, this is, by the way, this manhaj that the Tabari has made for himself is something that Ibn Taymiyyah explained later. Ibn Taymiyyah 7 to 8, Tabari 310. Tabari passed 310 Hijri. Ibn Taymiyyah 7 to 8. Around 400 years. When Ibn Taymiyyah came talking about tafsir, he said all these principles that Tabari was applying already. And the Tabari was on the proper manhaj. He understood how to understand the Qur'an. And this man is a great scholar of Islam. Great scholar. So Ibn Taymiyyah, when he came and he did this so-called famous usul tafsir, many of these things were already applied by Tabari. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ, we explained it. Okay, so why? Now we go back to this question. We still did not answer the question. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. Yes, this person who does not believe in the hereafter, this is the same person that يَدُعُ الْيَتِيمِ, is harsh and violent towards the orphan. And then he said, he does not encourage feeding and taking care of the poor. Yes, then فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. What is the relationship? فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ الَّذِينَ. And look, you cannot say that's not related. First of all, it's a verse, and especially if such a chapter that has a small number of verses, definitely they're all related. And I chose short chapters because you can easily find the theme. Other than going for big chapters, it's difficult. You have to understand the meanings and also to be aware of all the verses at the same time to see a theme. And subhanAllah, when does this happen? If a person is reciting this at night, you'll find suddenly certain benefits are popping in your face that you did not see before. And this is, by the way, now that you have understood these chapters, if you go and repeat them by yourself, and we're going to mention, inshallah, once we finish this, we're going to mention how to benefit. If I don't remind me, how to benefit from what you have understood today. So after mentioning this, directly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَوَيْل. It's like related to what is said before. فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Who can tell me why? Yes. Do you understand what the brother is saying? It's good. He's saying that, look, yes, this is the action. A person who disbelieves, you expect from him these things. These are things expected from a person who disbelieves. But if a person had some of these khisal, some similarity to such a person. He does things as if there is no hereafter, ya akhi. This is what he's saying, is what many of the scholars said. Since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned musallin, a musalli is a person who believes in the hereafter, does he not? A person who prays believes in the hereafter. So one opinion is, or one understanding, Tadabbur, they said, a person who prays could have actions similar to a person who even disbelieves in the hereafter. Isn't this true? You see this sometimes. Ya akhi, he says he's a Muslim. Kif? He says he's a Muslim. طيب ya Sheikh. So many Muslims, sometimes they might do things. They say, SubhanAllah, ya Sheikh, he does he not, you forget that he's a Muslim. You say, does he not believe in the hereafter? How can he do this? I say, yeah, I'm a Muslim. I say, no, he's Muslim. So it can happen. And Allah is saying this. So, in regarding prayer, and that's why when he said prayer, in terms of, some of them said in terms of how they're dealing with others, this is their characteristic, this is their akhlaq. يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض عن طعام مسكين ولا يحض على طعام مسكين. And in terms of their worship, they are Sahoon. They are preoccupied from their worship. الذين عن صلاتهم ساهون. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون. الذين هم يراءون. So when do they take care of their worship? When they're in the presence of people. Wallah, you visit your friend suddenly, he's praying in his room. But how do you know that he wasn't praying before? He doesn't know the Qibla. This happens. SubhanAllah, Shaykh, you're asking about the Qibla, Shaykh, it's your room. I don't want to say anything, but before I came, were you praying? Wala kif? When I started sitting with you in the room, you said, SubhanAllah, now you're asking for the Qibla, it's your room, Shaykh. This is the first time that you pray. See? الذين هم يراءون. It could be from a person who's a believer, but SubhanAllah, the fluctuations of faith, the low faith. He's a Muslim, he says, I'm Muslim, ya akhi. And I attend Jum'ah once every month. I attend Jum'ah. He's a Muslim, but his actions are similar to that of a person who does not believe in the hereafter. الذين هم يراءون. Or it could be pure munafiq حتى. الذين هم. But how can we say pure munafiq? Again, this chapter, is it Makki or Madani? It's Makki. Were there hypocrites in Mecca? SubhanAllah, in Mecca, were people in Mecca, they show Islam and they hide kufr. They show Islam, they'll be punished. Why would they show Islam? And if you show your Islam, you'll be killed or punished. And so this person, he comes in the middle, he puts himself in danger to show people he's a Muslim, but he's it's impossible. But nifaq was unheard of in Mecca. That's why Ibn Kathir says if Allah was talking about munafiqeen, it cannot be in Mecca. It has to be in Medina. Medina, definitely, yes. They were known. Munafiqeen is known. Allah described them. Allah told us their actions. But in Mecca, it's unheard of. So this strengthens the point that the brother here said, that their actions mimic the actions of the disbelievers. Actions of a person who does not believe in the akhirah. And then at the end, he said, الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. So they take into account the presence of the people. When people are present, see, he might pray, he might cheat. But once he's not seen, between him and Allah, a person who does not believe in the akhirah. He does the actions of a person who does not believe in the akhirah. الَّذِينَ هُمْ يُرَاءُونَ. And then he said, look at the last thing. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. Al-ma'un, you don't need to be righteous to be of the people of ma'un. What does ma'un mean? Ma'un mean doing what everyone does. Your neighbor, he wants something, he's in need, you give him, give me some salt. This is not aib. You give them some salt. He might need salt, he might need your shovel, he might need something. This is normal. No, this person, he is so evil. Even the ma'un, the normal things that you give, it's not a sign of piety, by the way. Ma'un is something just normal habits. Even this, he, subhanAllah, prevents and he doesn't act upon this. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. وَيَمْنَعُونَ الْمَاعُونَ. Now, some of the scholars said just like when the brother he said that there could be some characteristics here that are of Ahl al-Kufr, those who don't believe in the hereafter, they could be similar in someone who's a Muslim. And isn't this something similar in Sharia, where the Messenger Muhammad said, he said the sign of a munafiq is 3. Now, he said, إِذَا حَدَّثَ كَذَبَ. If he talks, if he says something, he lies. وَإِذَا وَعَدَ أَخْلَفَ. If he makes a promise, he breaks his promise. And وَإِذَا أَتُمِنَ خَانَ. If he's given, entrusted something, what will he do? No, he will, subhanAllah, steal it, or he won't be trustworthy. Now, I ask you this question. If a person who believes, he says, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, he worships, he does the 5 prayers, and he does these things. So when he says something, he lies. And when he's being entrusted with something, it turns out that he's not trustworthy. And if he makes a promise, he breaks it. Does that mean if a person does these 3 things, he becomes a hypocrite and he's a kafir? Hypocrite is a kafir. Does he become a kafir? I ask you this question. Nifaq what? Nifaq amal. Okay. Yes, nifaq amali. Yes. An agreement. These 3 things, kabair. Kabair, major sins. A person who lies, this is major sin. Breaks his promise, it depends. But every time he breaks his promise and, subhanAllah, not being trustworthy, any worst case scenario, kabira. Sahib al-kabira, a person who does all these major sins, is he a kafir? Huh? Anyone says yes? So that we call CID? No, of course not. Of course not. Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah لا يكفرون صاحب الكبيرة. A person who does major sins, even if on a daily basis, major sins, he doesn't become a kafir because of his major sins. Definitely. Yes, doing major sins definitely is in a very dangerous position of the hereafter. Definitely major sins affect the heart, could lead to kufr. Yes, it could lead to kufr. But a person who does major sins, does anyone say that we judge on him, we say that he's a kafir? No, he's not a kafir. The Messenger Muhammad said, Ayatul Munafiq. Yes. They said this is shu'ab. These are signs of nifaq. These are nifaq amali, as the brother said here. So these are a munafiq in terms of his actions, not a munafiq in terms of i'tiqad. No, he believes in Allah. He believes in the Messenger Muhammad. So he follows. He said, these are the actions of a munafiq. The same thing here. He leaves prayer. These are the signs, just like a person who does not believe in the hereafter. So it's something very serious. So looking at these verses again, what is the theme here? Okay, let me tell you this. If you're a person who does not care about the hereafter, why would you do anything good other than following your desire? What good reason do you have to be good if you don't believe in a hereafter, if you don't believe in a recompense? Why do good? Why not just follow your desires? Actually, a human being who does not believe in the hereafter will do what his desires command him. Bas. What his nafs tells him, he'll do. Moral, immoral, wallahi, it makes sense, doesn't make sense. There is no recompense. Why not? Why not? Even if it happens that he kills someone and he doesn't get caught, then I'm okay. As long as I don't get punished in this world, I can cheat, I can do everything wrong. And this person will say, I can do everything wrong because there's nothing to fear. There is no recompense. And this, subhanAllah, Allah says it also in some chapters of the Qur'an. But here, Allah started with أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ الدِّينَ. These are the signs. A person who disbelieves, he'll find him no mercy for the creation. He doesn't care about the creation. And subhanAllah, you'll find him the most evil of people. Some might say, no, Sheikh, we see people, they don't believe in the hereafter, they're atheists, but they're good. See, this is what I'm trying to say. Don't be fooled by those people who do not believe in the hereafter and see great donations, huge amounts of donations, contributions here and there, this and that. Look, they do this for a reason. They do not do this for another life. They don't believe in another life. So there is something in it for them. There is something in it for them. I don't really want to go technical and accounting wise and telling you, how to cheat the system and this and that, run away from taxes, this and that. Anyways, there is a worldly reason for this. There is a worldly reason for this. So a person who does not believe in the hereafter, this person, you expect anything from him. This makes sense. If a person does not live for a hereafter, why not do anything that you don't feel good about? Khalas, whatever you feel good about, whether it's good or bad, you're going to do it. There's nothing to fear. You can get away with it. Then why not do it? This is exactly the mentality of a person who does not believe in the hereafter. So a person who does not believe in the hereafter, expect anything from him. And a person who does bad things, even though he's a believer, we should be warned that, you're doing things. What's the difference between you and the person who does not believe in the hereafter? You're doing the exact same things as a person who disbelieves in the hereafter. So Allah is telling us here, it's like a warning. It's like fear, look, beware of the person who does not believe in the hereafter, because these are his actions, and he's telling you, if you're doing these things, then you're mimicking or you're being exactly like the person who does not believe in the hereafter. So it's like a warning. And that a person who believes should not be like this. Also, a person who believes should not be like this. This is how, when I say Tadabbur, this is how Tadabbur goes. You look at the verses, you try to see, you look deep into them. You try to, this is what is intended. Now, how do we benefit? Because we want to stop, but before stopping, how do you benefit now? You have covered 2 small chapters. And these 2 chapters, we went a bit deep to train you how to think regarding verses of the Qur'an. How to benefit from these things is, many of you who memorize this, khalas, you look at these meanings. And then when you pray at night, if you memorized it, you pray and then you remember the meanings while reciting these verses. With this, you'll find a connection between your heart and your lips. You're reciting these verses and then you're remembering these meanings. This will increase your faith and you'll be very emotional. You'll find that you're reciting these verses in worship and then you're remembering these meanings. You'll find that there's a connection. And you'll find, subhanAllah, you want to recite these verses. You want to do qiyam so that you recite these verses. Not only this. Sometimes in Salah, you're repeating these chapters, you might come across a meaning, an understanding, subhanAllah, that we did not discuss here. That makes sense for you. Now this is Tadabbur. You write it down. No problem. Write it down. You write it down. After you finish, subhanAllah, you write it down for yourself and you remind yourself of this benefit. So if the verse, you already memorized it, pray, go over the meanings and then pray at night reciting these verses. If you did not memorize it, in Salatul Layl anyways, you can read from the Qur'an. Read the chapters that you have studied. Read the chapters that you have studied. You'll find that your iman, it's a completely different situation compared to reciting something that you don't understand. Completely different.